So on that whole kind of moving upstream and trying to connect all these different supply chain stakeholders, are there any industries that stick out that you're having more success than others?
Yeah, well, I think speed is driving it. So any industries like where speed is important, right? And so recently, I mean,
Naturally.
data centers, of course, are booming because of the appetite for the hunger for cloud compute AI. And AI is very cloud
Mm-hmm.
compute intensive, right? So, but no, we're hearing it from data center owners who are just, there's this pressure to build core and shells, right, and find tenants and that. And so speed is driving that need for that collaboration up front because they can, what you're doing is you're parallel processing the work process, right? The normal traditional, engineer, you're handing it off to the fabricators who then hire
Yeah,
the detailers.
waterfall.
It's a very linear process. Now you're bringing things up front, you're parallel processing. Of course, it makes sense naturally that you're mitigating, you're accelerating schedule. What it also does is though that you're eliminating all the inefficiencies of RFIs. You mentioned like the Construction Brothers podcast, and you listen to a lot of those podcasts or just other detailing posts. They complain about RFIs and how they respond to RFIs and how that just slows down the whole process. Well, if they are able to work early alongside the engineers, which is this early connected model process, you're just eliminating those RFIs up front, and then it makes the whole backside so much smoother. So the industry is just more efficient. It can deliver projects faster. So it makes total sense. But
Yeah.
data centers and were kind of top of mind when you asked that question.
Yeah, it's really funny. The irony is not lost on us. Oh, I don't know. I think this AI thing's a fad. Can you build me another data center tomorrow? It's like, you guys do realize those two things are going together. So, it's going to get. I think it's going to be a fad. One more data center, please. But I think you're right. Right, those early RFIs too. We just discussed this on a recent episode last week about the earlier they're raised too, they don't contain as much risk or as much cost at the
Oh yeah,
earliest stages. And if you're really in what our guests call deep collaboration, which I love, I'm getting all these new terms, and deep collaboration's one I really like because it's beyond the superficial contractual relationship. It's really getting involved in the process and this, making this linear thing work. So it's really cool to see that earlier process de-risk. I'm wondering what some of the other benefits of just moving this to the front are for customers and ultimately, right, for owners.
yeah. So well, yeah, RFIs, are kind of a stepping stone, but the cascading impact, of course, schedule, which we talked about, but also cost. The cost of better certainty, like cost goes down with the bids because of the certainty. Any trade contractor, whether it's a steel fabricator or a concrete, a rebar supplier, whoever, they're going to build in uncertainty into their bids, especially if the drawings aren't complete, right? And if they anticipate issues, right? And also just the level of detail that's provided, the lack of detail that's in the design. So if you can increase the fidelity of the data, you can eliminate the RFIs and improve the certainty. It lowers the cost. And another benefit that, I mean, owners who care about sustainability are thinking about carbon, right? And you can think, well, materials like steel, I mean, it's highly recyclable, yes, but there's still energy that's used to produce the steel, even recycled steel, right? So steel and, concrete, these materials have a big impact on, embodied carbon. And we know embodied carbon is a big contributor to global warming. So I think owners like, even data center owners, back to data center, or most commercial owners now in, New York, Boston, California, there's a lot of markets where they have sustainability goals. They're caring about that reducing carbon narrative. And so that is an area that we continue to invest in too. So not just with the early connected models process, but even on equipping engineers to think about how do they reduce carbon on their designs kind of in the context of cost, right? Because sometimes they actually conflict with each other, which is interesting, right? But owners are asking for both, right? So the design teams have to kind of, show their design evolution with that context of both carbon and cost.